morning. It's the main event. I'm your humble host, Stephen McCollum. And of course, you know him as 17-year NFL veteran, 3-time Super Bowl champion for your Dallas Cowboys. And I kept harping on yesterday. Man, you were able to text me at 1:29 in the morning to tell me what was going on and how you're not going to be able to make it in. It's amazing how simple it was, I imagine. Dale Hellestrae, everybody.
I was being accountable to my employer, and I needed to get an MRI, so I was in there at 2 o'clock in the morning, and guess what? They had one.
They had one? You didn't have to travel to get one?
Actually, they did a CAT scan on Brooke, so she got that done pretty quick, and I know what you're referring to there, but as of yesterday, from what I read, maybe you heard different, that he still hasn't got the MRI.
Today. Scheduled for today.
But he couldn't go to get treatment on Monday.
It takes a couple days to get an MRI, apparently.
And Nolan Arenado did get an MRI.
Yeah, he's back
in Boston.
playing.
He
came back and played yesterday.
Right.
Yeah.
Just make sure I heard clearly.
Yeah, more BS. So we'll get you caught up to speed. I talked about it all day yesterday. We got Mike Sheehan as a head coach's opinion on how he would handle that with a kid. And
did he say cut him?
He did. He said one time, it's one, especially at high school level. He basically said one time, he goes, but a second time, nope, out. Guy just done with it. Won't deal with it after that. So it's interesting hearing a coaching person. Now it's high school. I get it. Compared, but it was an interesting conversation yesterday. But before we get into that, Dale, of course, takes off today, goes and does his KUPD hit over there and everything. So, but you missed yesterday. I know because you told everybody last time you had to miss what was going on, and I know there was some concern yesterday. Everything good? Yeah,
everything is good. No, nothing quite like getting woken up at 1:30 in the morning with your wife saying that, as she sits down there doubled over in pain and saying, hey, we need to call the ambulance. And
oh, jeez.
I'm like, Brooke, I'm right here.
Yeah, let's get in the car.
The one thing I had taken that night was, because sometimes I've been sleeping not so good lately, and so I took a little sleeping pill.
You were out of it.
But boy, bam, I rose to the occasion. We go to now our favorite hospital.
You're like, well, we passed 3 hospitals. It's okay, we're going to this other one.
We actually do pass at least 2.
Just suck it up for a couple more miles. We're going to this nice one.
She actually said she wanted to go, so got there for some reason. Just a run-of-the-mill, nice girl, housewife, pastor of women to a church. She can get a CAT scan within 45 minutes.
Yeah. Oh.
And they diagnosed her within the hour. It was no more diverticulitis, just some few complications that are easily taken care of. I'll try and dance around it.
But related to that?
Related to pain pills and stuff that they gave her from before.
Yeah.
And so...
I know what you mean by that. You guys at home catch on to that. Yeah.
And sent her home. We sent us home about 4:30, 5 o'clock, and I just I told Steve I was either going to drop her off and keep coming, or probably let my head hit the pillow for a little bit. So.
Well, it's funny too, because yesterday all I get from Dale after the show is, I was going to reach out to him, and all I get is, she's out of the hospital. I'll call you later. And I went, oh, he's going home and sleeping. He's going home and sleeping. But I made up this scenario yesterday at the beginning of the show where I said, I was trying not to make it sound worse than it probably was, but I was like, you know what? He was probably woken up in a dead sleep, and his wife's got to go to the hospital again, all of that. And he gets her there, does everything, and you were still able to text. With all that going on, sleepiness, everything, just unknown situation, all of that going on, stress levels through the roof, you're dead tired. And you were still able to send a text at 1:29 in the morning.
One eye open, one eye closed.
It's just amazing, Dale, how you're able to do that. But another professional player wasn't able to do that just the night before, just unable to do it for whatever the person
we make them out. They would make about the same amount of money.
Well, I know. I'm not making more than Marte. Although the problem is the argument is I show up and I text you ahead of time. I should make more than him. That's the argument, right? From that side. The other thing about it is I wanted to point out to everybody is, as of yesterday, Hazen had only talked to him via text a few times. And Dale, our monitors are going to go off in here. Just we're still on, I promise.
Okay.
Just heads up. Internal issue here with the weather. I don't know what's going on, but our monitors in here keep shutting off. But Hazen said he's only talked to him via text. Tori says he hasn't talked to him at all. Yesterday, we played phone tag. I was in a meeting when you called the first time, and I called you back, and you were probably asleep. Then you called me last night when I was in another meeting, and so we're just like, all right, we'll see you in the morning, whatever, types of thing.
Right.
But it's amazing how you were able to reach out throughout the day and try to get a hold of me to give me an update and all. It's just amazing how you're able to do that when apparently it's the hardest thing in the planet to do.
And for some reason, I have a feeling that if I was actually Cattell Marte in that meeting you're in, you'd say, recess. Recess. I need 5 minutes.
The first meeting, I didn't have my phone on me, or else I would have gotten out of that one to talk to you. The second one, I was in the middle of a speech when you called.
Yeah.
You don't interrupt my speeches.
No, I mean, how many people you kicked out of the neighborhood last night?
None. It was the annual meeting, so it was just the results of the vote. We were voting a new board on last night. We had 3 positions open, so literally you show up, talk for a little bit, gave my president's speech on the good we've done in the neighborhood.
And then as you were walking out, said, "Oh, and by the way, HOA dues have gone up $25 a month."
No, the budgets are being worked on right now.
Okay.
So that's an unknown on what that is right now. But those budgets are being put together. We'll know the answer to that here in the next month or so.
Okay.
So no, that doesn't happen there. But so it was funny. But I just sit here last night as I'm watching this giant rainstorm roll through and rain coming in sideways, and my bedroom's upstairs on the east side of the house. Man, those storms come in when they're that bad with the rain. It sounds like my windows are about to explode because I don't have a patio over my backyard, anything like that. And I'm just sitting there laying there well, what do I do if a window breaks here coming up for like an hour last night? It was crazy, but I'm sitting there thinking, Dale, no obligation to call me in the afternoon to give me info and tell me what's up, but you tried twice.
Right.
You texted, you called twice, you texted at 1:29 in the morning, you texted at that point. It's simple. It was so simple. And we're 2 days later, and Mike Hazen and Tori Lavella are both still we haven't talked to him.
We've texted with them.
Texted.
I'm sorry. You leave the team in a crucial situation. You pick up the phone, you call.
Now, Hazen did say yesterday that, well, first of all, glad Brooke's okay and everything. So we're good on that side. Let's wrap up that one. Robert does say, good to see Dale Hausen. Let's hope all went well. Yeah. And then Papa Mike says, good morning, gentlemen. I'm listening. He goes, can't safely chat, though. Yeah, don't unsafely chat, folks. Listen to us. Don't do it while you're driving there or whatever you're doing. Yeah. So, yeah. So Ethan says, so when Dale Hausen is here, nothing goes wrong at the intro to the show. But when Dale Hausen isn't here. But when Dale Hausen is here, it works fine. Oh, it doesn't work fine. Cool. So basically, he's blaming the monitors on you today.
I'm blaming it on that lack of facial hair.
I know, yeah, Ethan shaved today, folks.
Jeez Louise.
His summer facial patchiness is gone.
I think he's going girl hunting on Monday.
When school starts up.
Yeah.
And he goes to school. Yeah. He's got his first day is online class. So it'll be, it doesn't matter. I'm sure you're going to be on the screen, right? I don't know. But yeah, so, to continue on the Marte thing. So Dale, yesterday I talked for a good hour on kind of the relationship. They sent him back to Arizona for the MRI. And at this point, we didn't know the conversation or anything like that. And I said, yeah. So on Tuesday with Bruce, I said, watch, they're going to blame his knee injury, and he's going to go on a long-distance IL thing. 2 reasons. 2, 1, keep him away from the team for a little bit, because that clubhouse has to be upset. Period, end of story.
There's no doubt about it.
If you notice the Diamondbacks aren't saying anything about the clubhouse this time, in times past, they're like, oh, this clubhouse isn't fractured. That clubhouse is fractured right now. So I predicted yesterday he's going to go on the 15-day IL for his knee after his MRI today, possibly a 60-dayer ending his season. And just hey, Because I believe there's a scenario where you get through this year, get him out of the picture, get through this year, and next year you can start fresh for spring training, and then it's less of a distraction at that time, things to that effect, and he's got to work his way back in, whatever you want to say on it, and things that if you cannot trade him or whatever. So I think that's what was going to happen yesterday. Today, I'm not so sure. I think Mike Hazen realizes the situation of it. I listened to his 98.7 hit yesterday. I heard it was coming on. I loaded it up. I was listening to it on the radio. Look, Marte's making $16 million a year through 2030. And he's got a bunch of deferred money on top of it in that process. He's got 10-5 rights. What team's trading for him?
Well,
where you're going to get something back for him?
You just wonder if there's some... Again, I think I'm putting the cart ahead of the horse, but you wonder if they spent this week kind of looking as their ways out of this contract.
Well, I believe that 100%. And I think the Diamondbacks, listening to Hazen's comments yesterday, I think my expectation from Hazen's perspective as the GM is, we can't do anything. Marte has the leverage in this situation. There are reports out of the Dominican Republic. Robert just tweeted this in on the YouTube chat. Reporting out of the Dominican Republic is he wants to be DFA'd. He wants to not be a part of this team anymore. And this is what he's doing to get DFA'd. There's that speculation.
Is it because they haven't coddled him? Again,
that's it. That's got to be it, because what else would it be?
I would just love, as any athlete who's unhappy, I just love you to be honest and then let me make a decision on is that a legitimate reason?
Yeah.
Maybe they put him in a torture chamber when we're not around.
Exactly.
They
do evil things like they ask him to play when he doesn't feel like playing that day. Oh my God, the horror. So now we have all this convoluted stuff in there. But here's the other side of it. When was it? Tuesday morning? Tuesday morning was the night after the game was missed.
Right.
And the reports were he's flying back to Arizona for an MRI.
Yeah.
He didn't fly back until yesterday.
So
what did he do? What did he do for a day?
Was he at the hotel?
I don't know. There's also reporting out there that when they go on the road, his crew is with him. I'll phrase it as his crew, not his posse, but his crew. He has people that follow him around and hang out with him on the road. He does not hang out with teammates very much. I've known about the not hanging out with teammates very much side. I didn't know about he has his friends with him on the road all the time.
Right.
So he's kind of isolated from that side as well. But if you're being sent back for an MRI, and that's the reason, which we all know that was a BS reason, folks. We all know it. And he takes another day to come back, and his MRI is not till today, he's just slow rolling this. He wants out of the Diamondbacks, and he's doing this stuff. So what I would do if I was the Diamondbacks, when I'm Hazen meeting with him today in person, is all right. We're putting you on the. We're not just putting you on the IL. We're keeping you on the restricted list.
Right.
For as long as now there's CBA stuff. I don't know what. Can you keep him on there for 60 days, 80 days? I don't know the answer to that.
Right.
I'd keep him on that restricted list, unpaid until the time runs out, and then you're going on the IL for your knee.
Always remember the baseball union is the strongest sports union. And we do not know the language of how long can you keep a guy? What are the reasons you can keep a guy on longer on the restricted list? Obviously, if there's a felony crime or something, but he doesn't show up for work, my goodness, that kind of seems like a reason to me.
It makes sense to me. That's the reason that list resort. Legal reasons why you can't be with your team is you didn't show up.
Mm-hmm.
So that was coming up yesterday. So supposedly Hazen's meeting with him today. I'm just telling you, folks, brace yourself. Your Marte lovers and your people that say Diamondbacks can't win without him, and you want him on this team, God bless you for sticking by the guy. Then Torrey yesterday said he hadn't spoken to Marte at all. If you have this respect, I said yesterday, Dale, I go, Torrey keeps saying, I just love the guy. I just want to be there for him. I want to make sure he's okay. I just love him to death. It's not a two-way love affair. It's not a two-way love affair. Marte does not give a crap about you, Coach.
We talked about this on Tuesday, Steve. And again, For better or worse, over my 4 years of Division I college football and 17 years in the NFL, I had coaches who were my favorite kind of coaches, my favorite coaches, and I got along with them, and I was their favorite player, and hunky-dory. Some that weren't. Obviously, I was not in Marte's situation.
Yeah.
And all that. But sometimes you do have a personality conflict with a coach.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a coach who went out on a limb, stuck his neck out for you last year.
Repeatedly.
And this is how he gets repaid. I think that's where you see the emotion from Lovello come.
Okay, I've come to this conclusion as well, because I'm going to play you a clip from yesterday after the game. I think Lovello's pissed.
Yes.
I literally think behind the scenes, and this is all speculation, I think Lovello was telling pretty much it's him or me. I don't know if he's saying that explicitly, but I think Lovello's done with Marte. Just because think about what he's saying about Marte in this, right? After that game. I don't know. Why would you say you don't know if he's at the hotel or not? You're just throwing dirt on the situation.
Right.
Or you're exploding the situation some more. You're not putting dirt on the situation. The Diamondbacks aren't squashing this. There's ways other than he's going back to Phoenix for an MRI. That's cover for he's not around the team right now, and he's not going to be around.
And they very easily could have said, we've been in text contact with him. He's explained to us
I've talked to him several times.
And we all agreed this is what's supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly. His knee's worse than we thought it was. We need to get him back to Arizona. We need to get this knee. There's ways to cover for Marte. None of us would believe it, but there's ways to cover, and they're not doing it. They're not doing it. I firmly believe Torey's been hit over the head with the reality of
it's not a two-way street.
It's not a two-way street. Yeah.
And
the way
I was going to try and put it was, I know you've been a boss for a long time, Steve. I also know you were middle management at one point.
Yes. Yeah, that's what it was.
And don't know whether you did it ever or not, but I know a lot of guys do, whether it's like an assistant coach or whatever, who goes out on a limb for a guy, stands on a table and says, this guy made a mistake.
Yeah.
I vouch for him. I put my reputation on the line for him.
I don't know if I go that far, but no, you stick your neck out.
But sometimes in sports you do that.
Yeah, you do it in the real world too.
And then that guy rewards you with another episode.
I had a guy that just unbelievable employee, and I was pushing hard for him to get promoted, and the boss was like, "Nah." And I put my neck out there on the guy.
Yeah.
Literally the day of the meeting where he was going to get promoted, he didn't just put in his notice. He just left his keys on the front counter and walked out to where I didn't even know what was happening. And I literally had to go into that meeting and go, he ain't showing up, guys. And I was the one pushing for this. And that was early on in my career. That was like fairly early on. And I learned that lesson quickly.
Yeah.
Promote guys, do it, but then it's up to them. Do not put your reputation on the line. Promote them, get them to that spot, but at the same time, have a little arm's length distance on there because I look like an idiot. I remember my boss being like,
"Oh, is this your judgment, people?"
Exactly. And I didn't get anything from it. So, it's that type of thing. And you look like an idiot when you're out there and stuff like that. First of all, Robert says, I heard his posse was on Broadway. That's right. Little Sir Mix-a-Lot for you, Dale.
Okay.
So... yeah, it's something that happens in sports, but happens in the real world, and you can get burned by it. Absolutely, you can get burned. I actually saw the guy at a Cardinals game a couple years ago, and like he recognized me because he kept looking behind his seats like at me, and I just pretended like I didn't know him. But all the feelings of you jerk, you would have just waited another 2 hours, man. Your life would have been different, But he made his decision and did what he wanted to do out there. So here's Torey yesterday. Well, really quick also. Hazen was asked, will Marte play again this year? I think it was by Wolf. And his general response was, I don't know. I got to meet with him. And he said, I hope so. What is happening where you go, I hope he plays again? Now, as I said, the GM has a different role than the manager does because he's got to try to keep some options available for him and stuff to that stuff Here is Torrey after the game last night. He was asked by Nick Picoro, beat writer for Arizona Central. He was asked specifically, last year, he abandoned you last year. Well, he didn't say abandoned. He wasn't with the team last year after the All-Star break. And he's doing it again here. Does this feel different? And then there's a couple follow-up questions. Don't just listen to the words of Torey Lovullo here. Watch his body language on this one. Here he is after yesterday's game.
You guys had that series last year after the break when Kitzel wasn't around. Did this feel different? And why?
I don't know. Maybe I can answer that question tomorrow. But yeah, maybe a little bit different. I had a little heads up last year. I didn't have a heads up this year.
You talked about how, I think I asked you yesterday, you expect him back.
Mm-hmm.
So, we need him. He's a great player. We need him.
Yeah.
Not with so much uncertainty about him now.
Yeah.
How do you win without him? You did today.
Yeah.
You get where you want to go.
Yeah. We're going to be fine no matter who's in that lineup. And we got 26 engaged dogs out there that want to win a baseball game, and that's all I care about. And I will put in the best players that I possibly can that are going to focus and execute to win baseball games. This is a big boy league, and you got to win baseball games. And that's what we do every single night. We try to win every game we play.
I know, Dale, I know you couldn't see that because our monitors went blank on it, but he's rubbing his eyes when the question's being asked, and he's like, and stuff that, but you can hear his voice as well. Torey Lovullo is not protecting Marte in this situation, which tells me he's pissed.
He's pissed. He's tired. I'm sure it's one of those, sleepless nights and tossing and turning. And
Dale, I went over this yesterday. Think about what has happened with this move. They held the lineup card till 8 minutes beforehand. Everybody else on that team is going, you wouldn't have done that for me.
Oh, yeah.
So that situation.
Right
in the middle of a playoff chase on top of it, right? And right in the middle of playoffs when you need all hands on deck. You have Arenado, who has an MRI in Boston, has a trunk issue, abdominal strain. He refused to go on the IL and wants to work through it instead of going on the IL and getting it healed. He's going to fight through it. He's in the game yesterday. All of that is happening. And then the players also know, because if they're not talking to Marte, if they're not talking to Lovullo and Hazen, the players aren't being talked to by Marte. Very few of them would be. So you have those question marks and everything. All of that is going on around this deal, and now you're coming back for a home series. It's easy to say, well, he's back home with an MRI, so he's not with the team. It's a different story starting tomorrow when you have the Reds in town. What's your excuse then? The Diamondbacks, the way they've handled this, are running out of excuses. The update is, Ethan told me in my ear there was one. I think this is it. And this is disappointing responses in my eyes from Hazen yesterday with, I hope he plays again, to Lovullo. Lovullo said, well, he's out this series. We'll see when we get back home. They're leaving the window open. And they have to be honest with you. He makes too much money. He's got the leverage because you can't trade him unless he wants to go. He has the leverage in this situation. Derek Hall, Diamondbacks president and CEO, said, quote, still a complete mystery. It's just bizarre, unquote.
Yeah.
Dale, we are 3 days removed from this. And it's still a mystery. It's still bizarre. Why are we even entertaining the name Ketel Marte at this point? It is clear, whatever is going on with him, he respects you so little that he's pulling this stunt. That in the history of sports, nobody pulls this stuff. And if they do, they're not on the team very long. And the Diamondbacks look like they're entertaining it. That's what's amazing to me. There should be stronger words coming up. If you're 3 days later, nobody has still spoke to him.
Right.
Dale, come on. You don't go. I can understand Tuesday, maybe there's a difference. Things to that effect. And just text messages and things. You should have had a full conversation. And the fact that you're waiting till today for Hazen to meet with them, to have that comment, there better be strong language in that meeting of what's not acceptable on this team. I believe we have a ripped up, and I said yesterday, Dale, whichever thing the Diamondbacks decide to do, whether bring him back this year or put him on the injured list, we're going to know if it's the right decision because the locker room will react. So if this team goes into a giant hole, well, the locker room wasn't on board with that decision and they don't like it. If they go on this big winning streak and play hard, the locker room's so excited. Think about the Pavin Smith DFA when all of a sudden they started playing well the second that happened. This locker room's going to tell us if the Diamondbacks are going to make the right decision in terms of the locker room, which in my opinion, forget about you, me, Dale, and the media and the fans. They got to do the right thing to this locker room.
Yeah. No doubt about it. You call your leaders in and you have to say, this is where we're at. This is what we're thinking of doing. Are you guys on board with it? I don't know, Steve. He's supposed to meet with Hazen today. They're expecting him to meet. And by the way, just so everybody knows, like when I need to get an MRI now or Steve needs to get an MRI now, you make an appointment and you might get one in a couple of days. You might get one in a week. You're a professional ball player, football, basketball, baseball, you need MRI, you're in almost immediately.
Exactly. And we're 2 days
And
out.
you're not waiting 4 days for the results to happen.
No. You get the results fairly quickly.
Yes.
Might take an hour, but you're getting the results
Yes.
fairly quickly.
Yes.
And that's the thing. Even the MRI excuse is being slow rolled by Marte. I'll put this is my opinion today. The Diamondbacks cannot coddle him and bring him back anytime soon. I'm not saying at any point this year, but this year to me kind of is a wash from that perspective. You have ways to suspend him for violating rules and sanctity of baseball, folks, is what he's done. You mean to tell me Marte couldn't have gone to the Diamondbacks and said, my knee is killing me. I need to get this checked out. They wouldn't have been like, get an MRI, 4 days away from the team, while you rehab or whatever. You don't think they would have done that? There's something more sinister going on behind the scenes.
When the people saw him at the bar Sunday night at 11 o'clock, he couldn't have told one of them, hey, I'm going to get in early. I need to get an MRI.
Yeah. It's something. Here's the problem that I got with this. It sounds like there's a cover-up to something happening behind the scenes. Robert says on the YouTube chat, it could be as simple as this. We know Marte's history out there. Robert says, I think Lovello asked him very sternly to play on Monday because of the Arenado situation. It might not just be Lovello. Hazen could have said, you need to play on Monday. I need a day off. No, you need to play on Monday. And his reaction was 2 middle fingers, and you're not telling me what to do. So I'm just not going to show up. He has a history of that, Dale. It could be as simple as that. And now he wants to be DFA'd and all this. I don't want to be here anymore and all of that stuff.
Well, remember, we're talking about the times they didn't show up for the team after the All-Star break this week, obviously. But there have been a number of times in important games where he's been too sore to play.
Yes.
Or he needs a day off in a playoff push.
Yeah. This is the time where you play. But again, I go back to the same thing. Last year, Blaze Alexander had an elbow the size of a baseball with literally the threads in it after he got hit in the elbow. He was in that lineup the next day.
No.
Corbin Carroll, you mean to tell me he's not hurting right now? He's out there every day pushing through it and everything.
You tell the manager, you know what? I'm not 100%. I'm available. I will push through what I can push through.
Yeah, they were going to DH him on Monday, which tells you maybe, all right, Marte is asking for a day off and we need him DH on this day. And he still refused to just go out there and hit and everything. And says, I don't think they can bring him back at all. This will prevent other players from wanting to come here if they know that there's a guy that will quit during the season. I'm going to put it this way, and I agree with you on that 100%. And Dale, as a player, might have a different perspective. Actually, I would think it would bring more players here because the more veteran you are and the more better you are, you can get preferential treatment if you come here. Here's what I think is in play right now. Whether Marte comes back this year or doesn't come back this year, coaching change is coming. I think Not just a coaching change, maybe a GM change. You can't tell me Derek Hall and Ken Kendrick haven't noticed the coddling of Marte. And it's led to this situation.
But in my mind, I think it goes up to and including Derek Hall.
Okay, to be honest, I'm gonna go a step farther than that. I think it goes to Ken Kendrick. Ken Kendrick is demanding Marte be on this team with his extensions and all of that stuff.
I don't know, because I listened to the interview on my way in with the president, Derek Hall, this morning.
Yeah.
And just his tone of voice, his perplexion, his confusion.
Did he sound upset, though?
He sounded very perplexed and confused.
3 days after the fact. And you're the president of this team.
And you still have
so if he's confused, how's Derek Hall feeling? Yeah. How's Torey Lovello? How's the locker room feeling? Oh. If you want to extrapolate it out to that point. It's inexcusable to not notify anybody and miss a game. It is unexcusable. It does not happen in sports. It doesn't. Go across to sports land who didn't just show up for a game with no notification. It doesn't happen. His agent's statement yesterday, Dale, kind of told you. His agent was like, what the F? We got to cover here because we're in trouble.
Right.
We could be losing some money here coming up. It's weird. And then 3 days later, we're still dealing with it. This is literally, there's no other reason for having a guy miss the rest of the season. This is it. This is the reason. In a playoff push, you got to protect the guys in that locker room. That Arenado was in the lineup yesterday, gritting it out. And you have a guy that refused to show up when he's in a different. It'd be one thing if he was here, Dale, and he just, I was at the mall, I lost track of time. He was nothing else to do but be in Boston to play a baseball game.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just bizarre. It's just weird. I don't get it, Dale. And we're just going to, now an off day today, we're not going to, and the thing that amazes me is I don't know if we're going to get clarity in this today, even with the meeting with Hazen. Maybe we do. I'll just say this. I'm going to be shocked beyond belief. I'm expecting it to happen, by the way, but I'm going to be shocked if they say, you know, we're going to suspend him for 10 days or he's going on the IL for 15 days, and they say that we want to have him back on this team and we can't wait for him to come back. I'm going to be floored if they say that, and I'm expecting them to say that. I don't. Dale, I can't wrap we've been all thinking about this for 4 days now. I cannot find a scenario where he can walk into that locker room and not be hated by his fellow players. And doesn't that say something about your fellow players if he walked into that situation a second time? One time, okay. A second time now? A third time now where he's abandoned your team? Listen to what Torey just said there. Well, at least last year I had a little bit of a heads up, meaning they were in the middle of the All-Star break so they could make some changements and stuff like this. Zero heads up this time. You can't do that to your teammates and your friends. You take it personal. I'm taking it personal, and I'm a fan. I think he's flipped off the whole city of Phoenix and every Diamondbacks fan out there that supported him. He's literally telling you, you diehard Marte lovers, he is telling you, I don't care about you. F off. I'm going to disrespect you as well. I don't get it, man.
And as a former player, I can get by that part. I can't for the life of me, because I'm trying to rack my brain and have been for a couple of days of another baseball player doing this to his team.
Yeah.
I can't come up with one. Maybe there's one or two out there.
Well, Devers refused last year for Red Sox, refused to, I get confused now. He was a DH and he refused to play first base or whatever it was.
Yes.
Because they told him, don't worry about your glove. You're not going to play the bait. And then they're like, we need you to bait. He's like, no, you told me not to. And what they do, they shipped him out of town to the Giants.
Right.
That's like as close, but he still showed up to work every day.
Yeah.
It's not like football, right? Where a player will hold in for the training camp for big money. That's an accepted practice of holdouts, you know, and things like that. This is just something so unprecedented. It's amazing. It shocks me. We'll see if there's any resolution today. I don't expect there's going to be. I think the way the Diamondbacks have handled this is just absolute. I'm sorry. You don't know why on day 3 why he's not there. You're on the reserve list. You are suspended until we figure out what's going on and you grow up and you come and talk to us like a man. Have that conversation with the public. We're on day 3 and they're still going, well, let's find out what happens. No, there is no finding out what happens. Dale, if it was a real bad personal thing like they keep trying to claim it is, we would know about it by now.
you'd know.
They would have floated it out there.
We've seen a couple personal things happen to coaches and players here recently, and that makes the rounds pretty good. And there's not a single person alive who holds any ill contempt for somebody's mom getting shot or a wife or what. Hey, go deal with your stuff.
You can go to the football side, right? To Calais Campbell's brother,
that's
his
what I'm
mom,
saying.
and he comes back into it. I forgot his name right now, but Kansas City Chiefs.
The offensive coordinator.
Yeah, offensive coordinator. His wife gets attacked. He disappeared. What did they say? He's dealing with a personal matter. He's leaving, and then it comes out what it is, and everybody's like, "Take your time.
Yeah,
miss as much time as you want." That's what baffles me about this. It's not a personal issue. Because if it was a personal issue, if he has mental issues out there to where just something in his head triggers something, we would all be like, oh, man, let's get him the help he needs.
Yes.
And I'm to the point now.
Knowing the Diamondbacks, they would do that. His agent would know that.
That's the thing.
But anyway.
But it is an amazing thing. That's the updates for you today and everything. I know Dale's going to talk about. I'm sure he'll be talking it later on in the Holmberg Sports Podcast as well.
It's a sports thing.
And over on your hit that you're going to be talking it over there as well for him. But Diamondbacks are in a bad position. They can't afford to eat that money.
But through all that, Steven.
Yeah, I know. Throw it up, Ethan.
Season saving.
Throw it up.
Win.
We'll throw it up as we go to break here. The NL wildcard standings. Throw it up there. Back to a game difference here is what
Huge
the Diamondbacks are last night. I'll talk about this when we come back on the other side. Dale's out of here for the day. We have Uncle Lou coming up at 9 o'clock as well. It looks like Robert said he got that from Jack Summers, that he thinks Lovello asked him to play sternly on Monday because of the Arenado situation. So that's what's sad this is. It could just simply be Marte wanted Monday off. And the Diamondbacks were like, nope, we need you. And he's like, I'll show you then. Come on back, folks. We'll talk that and some NFL stuff leading up to Lou. Come on back. And we're back here. Main events Thursdays. It was nice to have Dale back in here talking. Of course, there's no other big story than this Marte situation. And I'm about to start coughing. I hear Ethan coughing over there as well. Like, what the heck? Is gas just come through these vents in here or something? Affecting both of us out there. Give me real quick. Don't forget, we're live here on YouTube. TME Media AZ is where you can find us. Uncle Lou coming up at the top of the hour as well. Just those are the updates on the Marte situation. Derek Hall, we're just going to have to now wait and see until, I'm shocked. And I know Bickley, with his Bickley blast today, said, did Ketel Marte seal Torey Lavello's fate here with the organization with this move? I think we're moving that way. I think whether I told you guys that story of where I was sticking up for a guy and getting him promoted and pushing him. And then literally like 2 hours before his promotion meeting he was going to have with the bosses, he just flakes out and leaves. That looked bad on me, man. And it took me a while to overcome that. I didn't stick my neck out for anybody for a long time after that, to that emphatic levels and things to that effect. But your bosses notice. And I think if you're Derek Hall or Ken Kendrick, you're looking at it going, this is what you guys fostered here. This is the culture of the Diamondbacks. And how's that look? And we're going forward is kind of the question that you got moving forward from that side. But again, they're in a precarious situation. He makes too much money, 10-5 rights. You're in a precarious situation. It's going to be hard to unload him. And that's just where you stand going forward, folks. Throw up the NL wildcard standings again for me, Ethan. I know we put it up there when Dale was taken off here. But look, all that being said, you survived. I'm going to say you survived that hard road trip with Atlanta and Boston. You got the win yesterday. Right? You're only one game out behind the Padres and 3 games behind the Phillies, a game behind the Padres for that third playoff spot. So you're still in this thing. You got to rally the troops. Yesterday did give me a little bit of hope that this Diamondback squad can kind of overcome, what is happening in that locker room. It took a couple days to shake it. They were able to fight off it yesterday. Of course, it took 10 innings last night for them to get that win. And Brendan Pfaadt on the mound yesterday as well. So Brendan Pfaadt ended up going 5 2/3 inning, right? Not as good as he has been doing out there. Gave up 5 earned runs as well in this game for him, charged to him. But the bullpen guys came in and, of course, got the job done and eventually in the 10th inning to solve that. So you can't tell me this ain't affecting this team. Hazen yesterday on his radio hit even said, look, it's affecting us on the team. So they're admitting how it's affecting him. So if you see how it's affecting your team, if you notice that, if you know how you're feeling about it 4 days later, 3 days later from the incident date, you still have all as many questions as you had before. It's just unacceptable. You got to do something about it. You cannot not delve out of punishment for it happening out there as well. It's kind of what you have to deal with moving forward. All that said, also Nootbaar yesterday, home run. First home run as a Diamondback. Good for him. You salvaged it. Day off today for your Diamondbacks. Of course, then you got the Reds in town this weekend. This ain't going to quiet down. This is the reason why I'm a little stunned on the way the Diamondbacks are holding this, are dealing with this. They're leaving it open. They're not putting an end to it. Will that happen today when Marte meets with Hazen? If that happens, are we going to kind of get the finality of it? Whether it is he's coming back, he's going to play this weekend, or he's not coming back to this team for a while, for whatever excuse they give, knee injury, whatever. I do think it's not a coincidence he's meeting with Hazen after the MRI today. Watch out for one of those baseball, injury excuses, whether it's, his knee was really bothering him. He did this because his knee was hurting him, and blah 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 blah. Just watch for that coming up as well today. That side. So, just unbelievable what we have to deal with here as fans here of Arizona sports and things to that effect. Now we got some NFL stuff. Let's move over to that. Of course, we got Lou coming up at 9:00 later on, and the show off day for the Diamondbacks. Reds tomorrow. We'll see if this quiets down or if we still have unexplained things coming our way. One thing I do know is we have NFL preseason football tonight, folks. Couple games tonight as well. Cardinals finally not on a Thursday night here for preseason. They don't play till Saturday night here at home. Their lone preseason home game against the Dallas Cowboys coming up on Saturday, 7 p.m. For them. But tonight you do have a couple games. Throw up the schedule here for me. No, he doesn't have it there. Did I save it in the wrong spot and not put it on there? Probably. But you do have 2 games tonight as I'm pulling them up. Vegas at Houston tonight, 5 p.m. on ESPN. As well, of course, Reliant Stadium there in Houston tonight. And then San Francisco and the Chargers tonight, 7 p.m. as well from SoFi Stadium in New York. Friday night, tomorrow night, we can remind you of this tomorrow. 3 games tomorrow for Friday night. Jets, Pittsburgh, Carolina, Jacksonville, Green Bay, Denver tomorrow night. And then, of course, Saturday, everybody else plays, except for Seattle, Tennessee. They're the Sunday night game coming up from Nashville, Tennessee. Coming up this weekend. Is anybody watching Hard Knocks, by the way? I haven't sat down and watched any episodes yet, like sat down and watched the full episodes. But I am watching clips of it from time to time. Did you see that negotiation? The Seahawks with their GM, he's walking on his treadmill in his office. And, with the agent for Arnold, right? The Detroit Lions. He was with the Detroit Lions. Serious felony charges ringed up against him, and Seattle wanted to sign him. Did you see that whole conversation? Like, they were just talking over each other left and right. It was an interesting dynamic from there. I've got to sit down, and I know Reacher started last night again, a new season of Jack Reacher. I got to get into that. I usually wait for that a couple episodes to hit before I get into it. I don't like the waiting a week between episodes. So I'd rather wait a few weeks and then catch a few of them in a row. It's kind of what I'm doing with Hard Knocks as well out there. So I don't know if you're watching that, but I'm fascinated by the clips I've seen around the Seahawks because, man, they're working hard to, dare I say, rebuild that team off of a Super Bowl win, right? For them out there. LaFleur, I saw this interesting conversation yesterday. We're seeing a lot of players roll through for press conference and talking about a lot of conversations yesterday about Beck, his huddle presence for that Hall of Fame game and in practices and things to that effect. I find those conversations interesting. I know they're getting asked the questions. I understand that. And they're responding them the way, they feel like they need to respond to them. But there's just a lot of conversation about the presence of Beck, the way he works out, the way he works in the huddle and things to that effect that I'm kind of just like sitting back going, there's a reason this narrative's out there. There's a reason for it. Something to pay attention to, in this Beck situation and things to that effect out there. So LaFleur yesterday was speaking again and everything, and I found this interesting. Josh Weinfurst put this out on Twitter. Of course, it was in the press conference as well. So Dallas this week on Saturday night, then they play Green Bay for their final preseason game for their last one coming up here. Now they have 4 compared to the 3 that everybody else has, but they're going to Green Bay and they're doing joint practices next week. To me, if I was a head football coach, I would have joint practices because you're going to have, you want to be hitting other people. Now, you don't want the fights to happen that happened over the weekend and things, giant brawls breaking out. You don't want any of that. But you want to see your team play against other guys that don't know what's coming. You're hitting the same guys every time. You learn tendencies, etc. So I'm a big fan of that. And I would actually do that all the time if I could, right? But LaFleur said yesterday that he'd have 3 joint practices during training camp. Now, he said coaches were presented with data at the owners' meetings in March, and that data showed joint practices are the equivalent of a preseason game because everything gets amped up in those preseason and in those joint practices. You're going against somebody else. You want to prove yourself against, like next week, right? They're going to want to prove themselves against that Green Bay defensive line if you're an offensive lineman. So things are amped up as well. LaFleur said the data also shows there's a lower injury risk heading into the first 4 weeks of the season if your team participates in joint practices. That part of that is because you're hitting more. You're not having, camp sissy fit or whatever you want to call it that you generally have during training camp in the NFL these days. Dale talks about that all the time here as well on the show. So, but But then LaFleur went on to say he learned 2 lessons throughout his early coaching career before he became a head coach and stuff like that, right? Is these joint practices get booked up pretty quick and early. So you got to get on it early and stuff to those things. Now, he's also learned by being the Arizona Cardinals head coach, teams don't want to come to Arizona for joint practices. Yeah, the Heat. They can't handle joint practices in State Farm Stadium, limited space, they say in there. I don't know why that's the case, but that's what they claim from that side. So they don't want to come here because of the heat. Folks, have you ever been in Wisconsin, Dallas, Florida for the summer? What do you mean it's too hot here? We don't have the humidity and stuff. What are you talking about? I get it. It's hot. Don't get me wrong. I get it. It's hot here. But really? Really? You don't want to come here because it's hot? All right. Whatever. So the Cardinals would have to go to other teams' places, to do joint practices and stuff like that. It was just fascinating conversation there on the ebbs and flows of him as a coach. Insights you don't necessarily get from a lot of head coaches out there because they just don't talk about that stuff, and they don't they don't go from that side. And I found it fascinating. And like I said, just naturally, I'd want as many practices against unknowns, other teams and stuff, than I would just against my own team. Have your regular first 3 weeks of training camp or whatever be with your team. Then start integrate. Even if it's for a day, team flies in for a day, works out maybe 2 days, works out for a day or two with you, and then they go back. It cannot hurt you. Here's the other side of it. You would be around other coaching staffs as well. Now, they're not going to tell you things and stuff that like next year in Green Bay, Mike LaFleur's brother is not going to pull him aside and be like, here's what we're going to do, during the season. You're not going to go into that stuff. But a lot of coaches will get together with other coaches in the off season and things like that and talk about how to handle things and what they're doing, etc. A lot of learning experiences out there for spring camps and stuff like that. It can't hurt either to be in that environment and watch how other coaches coach, for instance. Like, wouldn't that, now I know Mike LaFleur is from Sean McVay and Shanahan up in San Francisco, but I'm going to use them as the example. You can't tell me it's not going to hurt if you have Sean McVay here for a joint practice, or you're there for a joint practice, and you see the way Sean McVay and his coaching staff operate. Now, Mike LaFleur already knows how they do that, so I'm just using it as an excuse, as an example out there from way I'm thinking about this. It wouldn't hurt to see those guys operate, how they run their practice. They've had a lot of success in this league. How do they operate? What do they do during practice? And you can integrate that into your system. I think joint practices are a no-brainer. Cardinals go to Green Bay after Saturday night's game against the Dallas Cowboys as well coming up here. So Uncle Lou comes in today at 9 o'clock. We're waiting for him to come in. We have the UFC Sacramento this week coming up. Of course, UFC 330 last week. Lou made some really good picks on the show last week that stuck, and he kept putting them out there Friday, Saturday morning, and a couple of those hit, especially that point one he told us, plus 9.5 points for that main event last week. That hit, folks. That was a big plus number last week as well. So we'll talk to him about all of that stuff as well with Uncle Lou coming up as well. So Ann said... did I read this one? I don't think they can bring him back at all this year, meaning Marte. It will prevent other players. Oh, yeah, that's right. For other players wanting to come here. I did read that one earlier as well. But it's such a good point. We should read it again, right, as well. Robert says, with everything going on, 3-3 on the road trip against the Braves and Red Sox ain't too bad. That's the thing you got to remember. That wasn't a bad road trip. It was. They're still in the hunt. And you got to remember that when all is said and done. My focus on this is just the abandonment by Marte. 4 days later, you still have no answers because he's still abandoning you by not talking to you. And then which way are the Diamondbacks going to go? Where are they going to take this season? Those are the things I'm focusing on moving forward. And I get it, Marte fans. I'll just reiterate again. I get it. Those of you that think Marte didn't abandon this team and he's dealing with a personal issue, God bless you. God bless you for having your head in the sand like that. I wish I had your mentality on that. And when evidence says otherwise out there as well, right? Robert says Jack just posted a synopsis of the Derek Hall interview. I'll pull that up. Let me see if I can pull that up here during the show as well. Because we played the one clip where he said, we don't know anything. It's just bizarre, right? Robert also says, I refuse this year's Hard Knocks. Seattle's on it, if you didn't know. I usually start liking players after watching it. And he goes, I don't want to watch like any of the Seahawks. That is a good point. The Seahawks do have good dudes on that team, man. Sam Darnold's not a guy that you can hate. I'll just tell you that right now. He's a down-to-earth guy. I know he's gotten some bad things against him over the years and stuff like that, but he's not a bad dude to hate. He's not. So that is a good point, Robert. If you don't want to like any of the Seahawks, do not watch the Hard Knocks and everything. I'm going to get into it here. I was thinking about it last night. Last night was the episode. I was thinking about it last night when I saw the clip on the thing. It was just weird how the GM was on the treadmill talking on the phone and the agents all like, oh, and they're literally talking over each other. And I'm just like, dude, everybody stop yakking so much. Just listen to each other. Kind of a deal what you're looking at. Let me look up here. We're top of the hour. Lou's going to be, of course, in the building here as well. So Jack Summers, I'm pulling it up here as well with Derek Hall interview with Bickley and Murata this morning. As I told you, I already told you, I know he said it's still a complete mystery. It's just bizarre. And then he said Marte appeared just fine Sunday night at the hotel, and then was just a no-show, is what he said on the show. And that's the weird thing about it. There's nothing leading up to it, right? Derek Hall said we're going to have to get explanations from him and apologies from him. That's a big part of it. One, why did you do it? And two, are you remorseful? You have to be remorseful in this situation. If he goes in, kicks his feet up today in his interview with Hazen, kicks his feet up and goes, what are you going to do? And challenges them. It's a different situation on that side as well. According to Jack Summers on that interview with Derek Hall, he said, any player who has a responsibility to be at the ballpark needs to be there unless you're sick and need to stay away from the team. If injured, need to go in and get treatment. And that's the thing people miss, right, that I've been seeing. The Marte fans, oh, he's injured. Doesn't matter. You still have to show up. You have to get treatment and things to that effect. You don't just not show up because you have an injury unless you're on the IL or something. Then you have a recovery plan and things like that that you have to do from there. So Derek Hall did say we're all sparring judgment because we don't know what the explanation is. That's a soft way of putting it. In my opinion, 4 days later, you don't know what the explanation is. Time to become a hard ass about this. On Tuesday morning, absolutely. We got to find out what happened. We need to be, just kind of aware and find out what happens. Thursday, after this happens on Monday, and you still don't know? I'm sorry, folks. You could still spare judgment, but you can be a little bit harsher about it as well 4 days later. I'm sorry. That's just unacceptable for a professional at anything you do out there to not report back 3 days after the incident happens and stuff like that. And then he said, if there is a personal issue, we need to hear what it is. Derek Hall's admitting they don't know if it's a personal issue or not, but his agent put out it's a personal issue. He hasn't told the team it's a personal issue? What? Derek Hall also said every decision we make, the players are watching us. Torrey quickly turns his attention to those 26 guys. And that's what I told you. That's the way I'm eyeing this now. Whichever direction the Diamondbacks go, you're going to know if it's the right decision or not based off of how the locker room responds to it. That's the threat right now. To me, Marte's not the threat. He's shown what he's going to do. He's going to abandon the team, not show respect, not reach out to him, not tell him what the matter is and everything like that. It's what you do with the situation is going to determine what that locker room does. And to me, that's the important thing the Diamondbacks are up against right now as well. things. Now, Derek Hall did say that Mike Hazen has been on the phone constantly with Marte's agent out there and everything like that. So then he said, of course, until we sit down with the player, we don't have much to say. That's what they've been saying all along. Again, 4 days later, and nobody's met with Marte. To me, that's just fascinating to me. Just fascinating to me. So we'll have to see how the Diamondbacks handle it. That's the Jack Summers synopsis, at least, of what the conversation was with Derek Hall earlier today. When we come back, Thursdays mean Uncle Lou, folks. Whole second hour. Come on up. Come on back, I should say. Yeah, come see Uncle Lou. He disagrees with me on this Diamondbacks thing, by the way. Come on back, folks. And we're back here. Main event, Thursdays mean Uncle Lou comes in and joins us, folks. You can find him, Gamblu.com. You can find him on a lot of VSiN shows throughout the week. Of course, talking UFC, NFL talk as well. You can find him at Gamblu. Also on X, folks. You want to follow him there because he put some stuff out there that at least last week worked out for you, Lou. There, we'll talk about some last week's fights in that UFC 330. But first of all, how you doing on this fine Thursday after the storm rolled through?
It was a big storm here. Helps the lawn and everything else, though I got to cut my grass today. But aside from personal stuff, this hour every Thursday I always look forward to. I get to talk a little bit about really what I do all week outside of my job and making dinner for my family. So it's a good week. We're getting closer to the drop of the puck on the regular season of the NFL. I've got a couple trips already lined up. There's a panel in Las Vegas I'm fortunate enough to be asked to be on Wednesday, so I'm going to go up there 3-4 times and commiserate with that community, which is really awesome. I say it's our community because I've actually infiltrated that over the course of 15 years doing this. So great time of year. I'm ready to share information about UFC, NFL when the time is appropriate.
Absolutely. So, on a side note, because you alluded to it there, and I know you put it out on Twitter a little bit and everything, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, how's your wife doing and everything?
Oh, well, I did.
Because you put it out on Twitter. That's the only reason I bring it up. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. She's passed 12. She's done 12 4-hour sessions of chemo. That's beyond us. I didn't say much during that time because that's heavy. Yeah. And it still is. There's recovery. They caught it early. The long story short is my wife is way tougher than me. If that was me, I'd have been curled up crying from my mommy for 12 weeks. She battled it like a warrior, didn't even let it get her down. She's doing great. We're dealing with some radiation now, and then there's some other stuff to deal with. It's an entailed thing. But let me just say this. Banner, the hospital Banner that treats cancer here right down the street on McDowell in Phoenix. Oh, by the way, Larry Fitzgerald donated millions of dollars to make this what it is. This joint here, when my wife has an appointment at 7:02, she's in.
Oh,
This
no
isn't
delay.
This isn't no messing around here. These people are professional, on top of things, redundant. They check her bracelets 26 days. I am so impressed with the banner system in the cancer treatment for my wife that I have to share it because
I'm glad you
it's
do.
authentic. So, but she's doing great. I thought Steve was getting ready to hit me with this Marte thing. Listen,
well, that's coming
here's
up,
the
Lou.
Marte thing. Here's the Marte thing, okay? It's very simple. I bet the Diamondbacks to make the playoffs and the Padres to miss. And last week, I was going to tell you that I was really feeling very, very good about how that is evolving. However, the Marte thing, no matter the fact that I caught Steve and watched him slip in his own vomit on Twitter last night, that was a different play.
It's been all week.
That
Lou.
was a different play. But here's the real play. Marte and whatever is happening here, and we'll find out. We'll be the last to know, but eventually we'll find out. But he, without question, is going to cost me 2 bets. And it's really, instead of winning one and winning 2, because maybe Padres miss the playoffs, Diamondbacks make, there's 2 units plus. Now it's going to reverse. It's going to be 2. That's 4-unit play. So I am acutely aware of this situation, all the stink around it that no matter who it is has been talking about for the 4 days. They're just overreacting and guessing. They got no clue. Eventually, we're all going to find out what happens.
Well, absolutely, and that's why
it isn't good. I don't think,
Yeah.
and I don't think it's going to help my team and my quest to win a bet.
Well, that's why I wanted to bring it up with you, is from the betting angle, because you have those 2 bets out there, and if I would, and I have the Diamondbacks is over as well, that they haven't hit yet, over the number, which is just about
What
500.
was that, 81?
I want to say 83, but don't quote me on that. I should look it up instead of but it was right around 500. And I was like,
They're
oh,
not
they'll go
going to
over.
curl up and die. They're not going to die.
I'm worried if they bring him back and that locker room's just like this. We don't want him in here, and then just all of a sudden they stop playing.
You know what the good news is?
Oh,
You know what the good news is?
that's-
You got the best commander in the game running things there. They're not going to quit.
We disagree on that 100% between Lovello and everything.
You're too close. You don't get it. When you're in the eye of the storm, you don't see how wicked the storm is.
Yeah,
around.
but that's why I wanted to bring it up to you, is because, of course, you look at it from the perspective of your bets, and so you at least see how the distraction he's caused. At a bare minimum, he's caused a monumental distraction to this
Yeah,
team.
I agree with you. I agree with pretty much everything you've said about it. If I could do the Bewitched and have everybody shut the F up about it, because I don't like the effect on the team.
Yeah.
There's going to be an effect. There has to be.
Yeah.
And so now the coach has to worry about damage control when he should be putting out a lineup.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of layers to this, none of it good. And I don't think when the story comes out, it's going to be flavorful either. I think it's all unfortunate stuff for the team I bet, and the coach that I have respect for.
Yeah, because what's going to happen is if they don't get the playoff, obviously the Padres will probably be the team that gets in, and so that really affects your pocketbook. So I was just curious. That's the angle I was going to bring up to you today.
This is binary for me. I don't give 2 hoots about. I'm not a fan. My son, he's sick to his stomach 3 years after a loss for the New Orleans Saints. I'm like, I'm so glad I'm not a fan, because as soon as I record the result, it goes on paper. This goes to the past pile, and we're looking ahead over here. I'm trying to drive a car, and if I'm looking in the rear view trying to drive forward, I'm going to crash into something. I got to look ahead through the nice, big, huge windshield that's ahead of me.
Yeah, Robert says, is Uncle Lou reporting that D-backs fired Torrey? No, Lou loves Torrey, man.
I respect the bejeebies out of the guy. He gets no credit here. 5-6 years ago, he had a team that did really well. It made the playoffs, fell short. They shouldn't even have made the playoffs. Then they go to the World Series. 4 years ago.
2023.
Whenever that was. I mean, just put overachiever on that Italian's head.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is fun to
And
have
is
you in
he
and talk
Italian?
it, though.
Is he Italian? I hope
I'm
that
assuming
name
he
seems
is, but I
Italian,
don't. It seems
and
like
if listen, if he's Latino, I don't give a hoot what he is.
No, I don't think it's
whatever
that,
he
yeah.
is, Torey Lovello, I'm in. I'm on the fan club. I'm on the fan
I
club.
don't pay attention to nationality. I'm kind of weird like that.
I just
get
always
stuck up on
assume
that,
that's
so.
an Italian name.
Right from that. Well, tell everybody here as we're getting started. Obviously, I just was going to bring up that betting situation on just the distraction. Like I said, you can break it down to bare nuts, and it's just terrible time for a distraction of this episode.
There's no real good time for something like this.
April's better than right now in a playoff chase. It would have been, and not that it would have been better.
If a kid's struggling with mental health, it don't matter what month it is. There's no good time, bro.
And that's what I.
And I don't know what he's struggling with. I'm not saying I know anything, but there's something that stinks here that isn't. Hey, I've got a sprained ankle.
And that's my concern is the mental health side of it. And like I said, I'm not here to diagnose anybody and things to that effect, but you don't pull this stuff. Unless there's something going on. And that's the concern that I've got in getting it fixed. And regardless of what it is on the team and everything, it's obviously the human's the most important thing to fix going forward on that side. And speaking of that, Lou, the human, well, tell us a little about yourself, where people can find you. We have a fight this week in Sacramento, folks, of all places.
Sacktown.
Coming up here, but last week, UFC 330 in Philadelphia.
Oh, baby,
we had
was
that
that
as
fun.
well. So tell everybody where they can find you, your Sneak Tea podcast, your About Business podcast, all the fun stuff.
Well, I'm a sports handicapper. I'm fortunate enough to have a web page, and my clients paid for the web page because as you look at the top ribbon of sports there, you can find out all about me. You can see the sports that I work. There's descriptions of what I do. I'm a sports handicapper, basically, and I try and have an entity all my own because it's tough for little independents like us to clash against these big, huge ESPNs and sports grids and VSiNs and everything else. So I do my own little thing. I love being a strong independent. That's where I eat at restaurants and stuff with my family. I do 2 podcasts a week for my UFC business. The Sneak Tea podcast on Sunday comes out to look ahead at the upcoming week from a point spread, from a money line point of view. We track opening lines and movement on the major moves on that fight card a week from then. And then on Friday of fight week, which is tomorrow, and we have UFC Sacramento on Saturday, I'll come out with About Business podcast, and that'll be the final releases for that week's card the next day. Okay, so daily blog, I'm talking about the fights this week. I've had some NFL information up as well.
Yeah.
But the one thing besides just me that Steve always lets me point out, and it's so generous, is a cause close to everyone in Arizona's heart, the San Xavier Del Bach mission south of Tucson, oldest mission in the country, built in the late 1600s. These people, priests and nuns and lay people, are doing God's work down south of Tucson, and we encourage people to check out the mission. And if you're so willing, and if you've had a good week, if you were following me last week in the UFC fight card, and you can drop a few pennies, go right to their webpage using the link on my webpage, and you can get that done. Anyone that considers that, we thank you. Those that don't, sorry to have to put you through this, but I'm really proud to be able to announce my allegiance to the San Xavier mission, and Steve lets me do this every dadgum week.
Yeah, I was down in Tucson last weekend for the Arizona Rattlers Championship weekend game on Sunday.
I didn't know that was down there.
Yeah, so
nice.
and I was like, man, we got to find some time. We just didn't have time to get down there to drive by it at least and just look at the fixtures and stuff. So
an hour to and fro by the time you get done.
That was the thing with the timing, and we went down early on Sunday.
Where were the events
and stuff like that? The Tucson Convention Center. They have an arena.
Yeah, you were downtown, but still, it would have been parking, walking. It would have been noise.
So we didn't make it down there. Just the whole weekend, I was like, man, we got to see if we can get time to go down there.
My issue is when if I get so far south as to get to the mission, unfortunately, I go to no-go. And the last few times, thank God, I've had my wife with me, so of course I behaved. But when I was a college kid down here,
Yeah.
oh baby, am I glad that's 50 years ago.
I like that Tubac area down there.
The women love the Tubac. Well, there's great
that's-
shopping
yeah.
and walking around and restaurants and
It's
stuff.
where they filmed Tin Cup. If you guys, movie Tin Cup with Kevin Costner
I
was
never
filmed
knew
down
that.
there. Yeah, that
Oh,
golf
really?
course right there at Tupac. Yeah.
Oh no,
Tubac.
no-go is
Yeah.
no-go. It brings
Memories,
back,
folks. Let's give Lou
brings
a
back
moment
some
here.
unbelievable memories for me.
Let's let Lou relax here for a minute.
Oh, baby,
Let's get into it. Right, NFL preseason continues. Man,
Yes.
injuries are
Yes.
starting. We've already had a ton of injuries, and they're
Yes.
starting to rear their ugly head with serious injuries hitting a lot of these NFL players out there.
Why do you
we're
think that
seeing.
is so much now, as opposed to back? If you're my age, and none of you are, but back in the 70s, 80s, training camp is how you got in shape,
Yeah.
and there wasn't all this. I have a strong theory as to why. Do you
Well,
have
well,
any?
back in the day, you didn't work out like you did in the off season, and your body
think
getting
there's
ready and
some
stuff
of
like
that.
that. And then, like when Dale's time, they'd show up, and like you said, they'd spend the first week hitting, getting their bodies in shape, ready to hit, stuff to that effect. But like when you start seeing things like pectoral muscles ripping off the bone, that's just to me, that's just a strength thing. Meaning they're coming in too wound up, not enough stretching type
You're
of
close.
stuff. And so they're getting the impacts against them, and then eventually it's just going to tear off the bone.
Yeah.
ACL injuries and stuff. It's
Yep.
just because same thing. They're getting in such a good shape in the off season. They pull in and they go to cut, and their knees are like, nope.
Yeah, I think it's a
That's
little
what I think it
different
is.
than that. Here's my theory, and I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but I'm right. What these players ingest to become a 6'2", 225-pound receiver, when receivers were 5'10", $180.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. I say receiver, but it's as bad on the line. How many 300-pounders did we have playing in 1985, 86, 88? Now how many do we have? The difference is mama's little helper, baby. You got big money in football, and big money brings big temptation. And what these kids do is pack on so much mass on their body and their skeletal frame that simply on turf and 18 games plus a preseason, body can't take it. And you see stuff, shoulders, it doesn't matter what it is, it's snapping all over because there's too much muscle on the small skeletal frame doing that kind of activity with other huge men hitting you, pounding you, and twisting you into unusual angles. So I believe that the strength is part of it. The lack of hitting that the NFL takes away now from the latest collective bargaining or two, and they have to because lawyers are litigating hitting out of football.
Yep.
And then the fact that these guys pack on the mass that they do. All three of those is why we're seeing what we're seeing.
And we're seeing some big guys. I mean, you've been all over Twitter all week with these big injuries being announced. Like, how you're not betting overs right now.
No,
You're
they
doing all
don't.
that.
They can't wait. They can't wait to. And here's the other thing. And I love VEASAN. They're my employer for 10 years since its inception. But I don't listen to one thing from them. I shouldn't say that. I listen to 10% of what I listen to normally with them from July to the end of the preseason. And that's because the opinions tend to not be diverse. And I don't want to be polluted by others' opinions. I've read my due diligence book, which is 600 pages. That's what I want. That's what I got. I'm using my own study, and I don't want to be influenced by outside opinion. Now, I have handicapper friends that find that fascinating. They say they want to know every opinion. They want to know everybody's opinion out there so they can make their own. So there is no right or wrong way of doing it. It's just that I want to, if I'm going to lose some money, I'm going to lose money on my own due diligence, not on what I heard some attorney say on the, sports radio.
Exactly. So I got some teams here. I know I've been asking you just some kind of opinion on teams and stuff like
sure.
that. I don't know if you had
You picked
a
the
plan
team
thing
and
here.
I'll pull them out of here and
So
tell you what I think.
I'm going to go with the team I think is going to be bad this year to start off with, but I'm going with them just to see maybe if there's some upside to them. And I'm talking Cleveland Browns right now.
Yeah. Well, you sure picked easy fodder.
Obviously, in that division, I'm not expecting enough. So I'm kind of looking more towards the season total kind of a thing with them. Obviously, huge defense. They lost Garrett, but they still have a pretty good defense. But their quarterback situation, it's now looking like Shedeur Sanders is going to win that job. Deshaun Watson's getting booed at practices by fans and stuff to that effect. Any hope for the Browns at all to look at anything this year? Because what I'm getting at in the perspective, so people know it, Cardinals, I feel like there's nothing but upside to the Cardinals off of that 3.5 number. The Browns, I'm not sure that's the case.
Well, the Browns' number is not 3.5. First of all,
I was just using the Cardinals as kind of my reference.
What is the Browns' number?
Let me look up the new one here for you.
Well, first of all, to kick off with the Browns because of their poor schedule, the poor result last year, they have the 4th easiest strength of schedule this year. Mm-hmm. So that helps a team that I think needs improvement. Listen to the rankings just from my study. Quarterback 31, O-line 32. I see O-line 32, I almost just take the page, turn it over, and handicap the next team. Because if you don't have horses, you got no shot. So 32 ranked O-line. Running back 26. Wide receiver 30. Okay, front 7, 6. Secondary 10. Head coach, we don't know, first year. I think I can see Cleveland being competitive in their division because I think that division all balls up and looks 8-8.
Okay.
All of them. And so I expect Baltimore not to be everything people are making them out to be, and I don't think Cleveland going to be as poor as they're made out to be. 0 net rest. They have 3 situations where they're on the road back-to-back, so 2 straight weeks. Their home opener is until week 3. Tight end, Fannin Jr., and wide receivers. They got to find some wide receivers. And just for your own information, the kid from Denver, it ain't him.
Yeah.
From November 15th to December 13th, the Cleveland doesn't leave home. So they have Houston, a bye, Raiders, Cincinnati, Atlanta at home. Raiders and Atlanta, I think, could be winnable games. So I look for Cleveland to be not as terrible as everybody thinks. I think the terrible teams could be Washington, and especially now because the 2 major offensive linemen dinged up, and maybe Miami. I'm not putting Arizona in there because from the get-go, I said here a month ago, I'm not afraid of Arizona, and I'm not.
By the way, the Browns looks like everywhere except for one place. It looks like it's 5.5 right now.
So they got to win 6
title.
games.
6.5 on FanDuel. On DraftKings.
What's
6.5.
the under?
5.5.
What's the price of it?
Yeah, I'm looking. Sorry, I just got to pull back up to it here as I was looking to see. On the over 6.5 is plus 140 on DraftKings. Everybody else, it's around 125, 115, 125 on the under for that 5.5. So let's see here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see 5 to 7 out of them.
I'm just seeing the quarterback situation, and you don't go anywhere with an offensive line. You generally don't go anywhere without a quarterback also. And that's why I'm looking at those numbers going, how are the Browns? Is there a play here with the Browns and on the expectation side of it and level of things? So I was thinking about them this weekend.
Legit. I mean, when you look at offensive line, they could have Stafford back there, and you'd bet that he wouldn't make the season out.
Right.
So, yeah, I all the way around, I'm not bullish on the Browns. When I grew up, I grew up, my dad was a big Bear fan, and Gale Sayers was from Omaha, so I grew up a Bear and a Brown fan. So if there's any smidge of fandom left in me, and there's not, it would be to the Browns or the Bears. And until last year, the Bears and the Browns were in the same paragraph. Terrible.
Interesting enough, I found this. It's by a, I don't know if I should plug them, but it's Vegas Insider here, and they just
I know
have
those guys.
Okay, are they legitimate? Is it somebody you could trust?
Who wrote it?
You know what? I don't have that in front of me
Is
here.
it maybe Brian Edwards? Or-
Yeah, it looks like it was Brian Edwards.
Yeah,
here as well.
he's a good buddy of mine, lives in Florida. We
They can be
tip it-
trusted. I was just kind of being sarcastic, but they just have the 3 over bets by ticket count in the NFL win totals: Giants, Raiders, and Broncos. And Broncos are at 9.5 wins this year on the over under line
I'm
for
stunned
season
the
wins.
Broncos are an over
and
team.
top 3 over bets. They're one of them there.
Season
at
totals.
9.5.
That's because it's 9.5 and the number's wrong.
Okay. Well, that's what I want to ask you, Denver Broncos. You know, their offense with Bo Nix last year, you know, had success, but they also would win a game 3-0 if they needed to with that stellar defense out there. With the breakdowns you do on the schedules and rest and all that stuff, 9.5, I agree with you. That tells me people think that 9.5 number is wrong and they think it should be higher. Do you kind of see it the same way for the Broncos?
I do. 11th easiest strength of schedule. It toughens up a bit from last year, but they face real easy rush defenses. You got Dobbins, the running back, coming off an injury, but you got a rookie running back coming in, and this kid Harvey that's not bad. Sean Payton back. Davis Webb, first year, going to be calling plays instead of Payton. That'll be interesting. They bring in Waddle from Miami, who's going to be able to stretch the defense for them, a tool they did not have last year. Offensive line rank. Offensive line, the money they spent on the offensive line. Second, front 7, 4. So, I mean, right now, if Denver was a piece of cake right here, you'd see me salivating all over myself. I want to use other analogies that are inappropriate right now. Let's take a look. Jonah Coleman's this running back they brought in. By the end of the season, you're going to hear about him because it's going to be him and Harvey. Dobbins is old and a perfect example of a guy's packed on too much for his body, keeps breaking down. 11-2 in one-score games last year was Denver. Usually people like me will say, oh, that might regress. I think it goes the other way because I don't see anything but improvement on the defense, and I see tons of improvement on the offense, provided their quarterback's going to be okay. Let's see what else we got.
So the hype on the Broncos seems to be real. Is
Plus
what
3 net rest. I think in that division, the Broncos and the Chargers are the teams at the top, and Kansas City then Las Vegas.
And Chargers just lost another.
Not bullish on Kansas City.
And Chargers just lost another offensive lineman before the season starts. Like every year, now one of their star offensive linemen goes down for a long period of time or the season from that side. So you're still bullish on the Chargers then? They'll just roll right into that in that same division.
Whoa. Well, the Chargers got some different kinds of issues, namely negative net rest, minus 13 days. That's the Raiders because they're 24.
I would say Chargers aren't they the worst or second worst in the league?
It's the worst in 25 years of the NFL.
Yeah.
All my pages are
no biggie.
unalphabetical now because I fire through them. Minus 24 net rest, 32nd in the NFL. No team's had it that bad in 25 years. It's just terrible. From week 3 to the end of the season, they have the toughest schedule in the NFL. They got 2 sets of back-to-backs, and they play with a rest disadvantage or a slight rest advantage from week 6 to week 13, meaning that they got 2 days over the opponent, then they're down 3 days, up 1, down 1. It really hard to try and get continuity that way. But what they do have is one of the best coaches in the NFL. They just brought McDaniel in from Miami to run the offense. They've got, adequate wide receivers. We'll have to see how that works out, but tight end and running back, they're strong. They're going to be a running team with defense. And really the one thing with the Bears, I really would love to fade them, but I'm afraid of that head coach, man. I just have respect for him. I got to watch him a while. And as far as the Chargers are concerned, Jim Harbaugh is it. It's as simple as that. I mean, that dude is a winner. And so I don't care what they put on his plate, they're going to eat it. And I think the Chargers may not exceed 10.5 or 11.5 wins by the end of the season, but I do believe they and Denver fight for the top of that division. They both make the playoffs, and nobody gonna want to play the Chargers in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's I'm high on the Chargers every year, and every year just injuries and
Well, you got Jimmy
disappointments.
Harbaugh this year. That's
Hits you out there as well.
Different
Just
cup
to
of
wrap
tea.
up the NFL segment, Lou, and I'll give you a minute if you have anything you want to say. But the top 3 and under tickets, according to BetMGM and NFL win totals. Since you just talked about a Miami Dolphins under tickets, they're the number 1. 4.5 is their over under right now. The New England Patriots at 9.5. Which, with that division, that does scare me a little bit. I don't know if they'll go under in that division.
That's all Vrabel.
Other than the Bills there. And then the Green Bay Packers, under tickets. Their top 3 there. 10.5 is their over-under for the season totals. And the under tickets for them is their top 3. So I know you're not high on Green Bay.
Are you sure Green Bay's
division.
10.5?
That's what they have on this. I haven't looked. That's what they have on this on this report here. Do they go 9.5 now?
I'm certain.
Yeah. And then top 3 and under money, by the way, folks, because I'm high on the Cardinals. But they have on this page I got here from Vegas Insider, they have Arizona Cardinals 4.5. So if that's the case, that line is moved there. But the top 3 and under money, Arizona Cardinals is number 1 on that list. Yeah.
I love
and
that.
money side of it.
I love that. That makes me more confident in my wager because, again, as we've talked before, no one knows what goes on behind the doors of an NFL franchise. No one that's outside the doors, that is. And so no one knows a damn thing about what's going to happen in the NFL week 1 right now. They don't. Now, the people that think they do make those kinds of bets, which is perfect because I understand I know nothing. They don't understand that. So as Socrates said, if you want to be wrong, follow the masses. So all I got to do is wait till the season starts and see where all that money went. And if all that money is on the Arizona under, I sure feel pretty good being on that Arizona over because I'm pure contrarian. As Springsteen sang many years ago and growing up, when they said sit down, I stood up.
And that's Lou talking. Anything you want to add on NFL?
That's it.
Perfect. So we'll keep it rolling here, of course. Preseason starts tonight, 2 games on Friday night. Everybody else plays Saturday except for Seattle and Tennessee, I believe it was, plays Sunday night for preseason. We're just a few weeks away here, a couple weeks away, folks, for the NFL season getting underway. And we'll get more into that with Lou next week. But we got UFC to talk here. So when we come back, let's get into the UFC. We'll look back at UFC 330 and we got to bow down and give the respect to Uncle Lou with that points number that he gave us last week and ended up hitting for us last week for that main event.
Even a blind squirrel finds acorn once in a while.
That was just the most impressive thing I've seen because I don't understand points all the time and everything. And of course, look ahead to this weekend in Sacramento. So come on back, folks. It's the main event with Uncle Lou. The convention center, is right off of the freeway right there. So it's right there, and then you It's just a pain driving into downtown down there in Tucson.
If I get to as far as the convention center, it's Minadito, baby, or bust. In fact, my senses take me right
Really?
there. Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah, that was the thing. We drove down the old historic 4th Avenue. And
Yeah, beautiful.
trying to get a place to eat, and everybody's moving into their dorms and stuff like that. So it was picking up in steam over the weekend. Good old Tucson for
The
you.
Harvard of the Southwest, University of Arizona, is located in Tucson, Arizona, for those of you
That's what we're talking
unfortunate enough not to know about.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about here during the break and carried it into this. But Uncle Lou, of course, joins us on Thursdays. We just got done with the NFL side. And what we've started to do, Lou, is obviously we're live on YouTube right now. We're promoting that out for people can watch us live, of course, for free out there. They have the free podcast system. But I've also started pointing out, the UFC segment. I've been tweeting that out. So people that are just interested in your UFC talk, I tweet that out. And then I also have just been doing the UFC segment, tweeted out there as well. Good success on viewership and stuff
hits?
like that. Absolutely. More than we did for the whole segment, I can tell you that.
Cool.
As well. So it's working out. So if you don't know that, follow TME Sports Show. We're putting those out as well. So like either Friday afternoon or Saturday morning, just depends on the fight. We put those out for people that want to catch up
My
on it
agent
after
will be
your,
calling.
I know, after your sneak peek or after your About Business podcast
Yes,
on
sir.
Friday. You can see all that out there, and that's fine. That conversation will probably go as well as Mike Hazen with Cattell Marte's agent these days.
Yeah, I'm glad you told me who that was because I don't know that name.
Yeah, he's the GM of the
I
Diamondbacks
see.
as well. Hey, over the
Old
weekend,
Steve Stonewall Jackson over here.
exactly. My phone, I can pull a Marte and not respond to some phone
Of
calls
course
and
not.
stuff too. Hey, over the weekend, UFC 330 of the weekend, Makachev, Machado, Gary was the main card going into this fight. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, for a numbered event. This was a lot of fun. From my perspective here as well. I didn't catch some of the early fights because I was down in Tucson for covering media day and stuff like that. Caught the later ones here. Chidi got that win over Joel Alvarez in this fight as an underdog here. A unanimous decision for Chidi here. And I don't know where it closed at, but I know at one point he was like a 250 dog going into that. Your thoughts on Chidi and Joel Alvarez in that fight?
Yeah, I just like I said, Joel Alvarez is a bully. He wanted to fight at 55 against smaller guys, and so his great opportunity comes, and he takes short notice fight against a real welterweight that came down from 85. Chidi stood at distance, kept him at distance, and jabbed him to death. It was beautiful.
McCollum, MMA Lab, we talked about him last week. Did not get the win there. Was a KO in the first round against Dante Johnson here in this fight. You're one MMA Lab kid. We pay attention to them, obviously, as that's here in the Valley, but also just your thoughts on Dante Johnson in that fight.
Well, McConaughey's a great kid. He's a family man, a dad, good fighter. But he was in against a buzzsaw here. This kid Johnson is a buzzsaw, and the only way we're going to get him, something going to stop him, is when he gets closer to the top 10 and he walks into one, because he's so aggressive coming forward. Somebody going to knee him or elbow him, and that's the way it's going to go. I don't know what kind of wrestling he has either. We've never had to see it because he's got so much power.
Yeah, and he showed that. It was kind of I've seen him fight a few times, but even then, I'm just sitting there, just like, wow, this is a bull in a china shop, attacking everything. You were high on Gore, against Luque here in this middleweight bout in the prelims. You were high on Gore. You tweeted it out a couple weeks before the fight. You did last week again as well. You talked about it. Got the unanimous decision in this fight. I'm assuming your opinion hasn't changed about Gore in this fight, but tell us what you
his
think.
bottom bridge was knocked out with a knee, and he was doing the interview, and they're saying, hey, those teeth, they were picking his teeth up off the floor.
It was interesting.
And he's like, that's okay. They can fix that. This kid is so raw, and he just on raw talent won the Ultimate Fighter. And he bumbled around, his head got big. He bumbled around, took some bad losses, finally found a home at this MMA Lab where Jared Cannonier and McConaughey and these older, more mature fighters brought him in and are teaching him how. And boy, he's learning how. He's a $185 pounder that's raw, young, fast, powerful, quick, still learning. And Luque's a fighter at the end of his rope that's washed, that fought at 170, moving to 85 to squeeze some career out. He ain't going to squeeze it out against this kid, and he didn't.
Charles Johnson, third round submission for him in this fight against Chaplin here as well. This kind of went off as a pick-em here as the fight got closer to it there. Charles Johnson, his wrestling style, things to that effect. Not a favorite of the UFC side, but your opinion on Charles Johnson?
No, he's uneven. You don't know what Charles Johnson you're going to get. And you got a great Chaplin who's a BJJ savant, but he took the fight on ultra short notice, and he ran out of gas in the third. Those two guys fight again, both get a full camp. Way different fight. Yeah. Tip my hat to Chaplin coming in, and you got to respect Charles Johnson for winning the fight.
Yeah, that was that catchweight bout that we talked about. We explained that, where it's just like, hey, we can't make the weight. We're going to go in at what we go in at. Let's go,
the UFC wants to save the spot and have a fight, and so they'll allow for a waiver. And Charles Johnson's, who's really tall for the division, Johnson's 5'9" for 125 pounder. So he's X5 extra weights, a breeze for him. He's all about it.
Ribovics was a big favorite going into this fight.
And now you see why.
Yeah, and I just, obviously second round. I mean, are you disappointed it went to the second round, or is that what you're negative for Ribovics, as it went too long, or anything like that?
Ribovics inside the distance can go 4 minutes 59 seconds of the third round, far as I'm concerned. Yeah. He got inside, and that's how we had it.
Well, then you had another huge favorite, Abdul Malik, there against Stoltzfus in that fight. I don't know what he closed at, but I know at one point he was a 700, 800 point favorite going into that, and the underdog there, Stoltzfus, gets the win in that fight, submission in the second round.
I may have indicated or insinuated that Stoltzfus was live.
Yeah.
But I didn't bet it, and so I can't take any credit for that one.
I actually ignored you, and this is where I'm kicking myself. And I was like, Abdul Malik. So I actually put him in like one of those parlays of the big favorites. And I was like, what am I doing? Am I stupid? Because I remember you saying Stoltzfus could be live. And when you give those hints, I stay away from those big favorites.
Well, just because of his wrestling game, and he came to win, and he won.
So I lost a quick $10 on being stupid because of that dumb move on my part. Listen to Lou, folks. Out there is what I'm getting at. 39-second KO for Jalen Turner. I mean, it's just like, why even warm up for that fight out there with 39 seconds? It was a fairly close fight in terms of the odds going into it here between Fernandez and Turner. That was really impressive in my eyes for almost a pick'em type fight.
All week long, I talked Kyle Fernandez. I even gave him out on Follow the Money Thursday on VSiN. But as we drew closer to the fight, and why I do the bout business after the weigh-ins is because I pick up a lot of vibes in those last few days and from weigh-ins. And the vibe was that Kyle Fernandez, who actually, where is he? Kyle Fernandez opens plus 215, plus 150, goes off at close to a pick'em.
Yeah, I took him at plus 130 on Thursday afternoon.
So now I'm looking at Turner minus 260, and he's got size, reach, and everything else. And I said it on the podcast, hey, I never do this. In fact, I don't ever remember doing it. But it's the first time where earlier in the week I released one guy, but in the podcast I released Turner. Mm-hmm. And I released him in a parlay with Fluffy in this week's card as a parlay. So that is alive to the main event this week. And so there's that.
Yeah, I was just 39 seconds. Even I was like, man, I didn't even sit down. I was already sitting down, and I barely sat down for this fight going into it. Mackenzie Durham, Jillian Robertson ended up being a fifth round unanimous decision on this stuff. I like the way Jillian Robertson fights. I've seen her a few times just in terms of how she hangs in there and everything. And she put it to Dern occasionally during this fight, but Dern, of course, escaping there and keeping that championship belt.
Complete different class of athlete here. Robertson didn't belong in. I think she could have showed better. She does belong in the octagon with Dern, but she didn't that night. And then her coach melted down. That's a different story.
That was interesting. How does that affect a fighter, though, when you're coaches?
Negatively.
Yeah, that's what I would take. Kind of, we talk about that with the Marte situation. Like, That's another distraction on top of everything else
It was
for a fighter,
terrible
I
thing
imagine,
for-
right?
Terrible thing for he put himself in front of his fighter. No real guy. John
Yeah.
Crouch would never do that.
Yeah.
Ray Longo would never do that.
There's
World class coaches wouldn't do that, but
Yeah.
Dean likes attention, and he did it.
Yeah, and I've seen not just you, but I've seen a lot of things around MMA that's just popping up on my feed of people just ripping him for
Well, he
for all
likes
that and
attention.
everything.
He
And
put
stuff like
himself
that.
ahead of the athlete. That's really bad.
And then, of course, the main event here, Makhachev and Machado Gary in this fight. And this is the one where I'm just going to bow down to Lou here because Lou does things that I just can't wrap my head around here with the points here, Lou, that you told us to look at and everything last week. Of course, ended up coming to fruition there. Makhachev's ended up winning the fight with a unanimous decision at the end of the 5th round.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. When they make a wrong number, I try and pounce on it. That was the most aggressive bet I've made in probably 5 years betting this stuff. And
You went aggressive on that.
I
yeah.
made that known to people, and I tried not to. I hate doing jumping jacks because as soon as you do this, then your bet loses. So you're better to just keep your yapper shut. But that was a really and listen, just like Dana White said, if Gary had an ounce of killer instinct in the 5th round, he could have potentially won that fight, but he's too busy freaking kissing that freaking other kid's ass. And that's another story because we got a whole other fight card to get.
Absolutely. Plus 9.5 of the points there, minus 120 is what, I got it out on Thursday when you told us about it. I don't know how it changed.
It was down to minus 110 by the time they dropped the
So it
puck.
did move it as it got closer to it.
Against us, which is great.
Yeah. So I got to give you props because, like I said, I'm going to understand these points here coming out because even then I won it and I was still like, I don't know how I did it, but I did it. I can't do math. That's my problem.
Well, Gary had to win one fight. That's why after the third, when he won that round, he had to win one round.
Yeah.
After the third or second, Twitter blew up. Gary won that round. I'm like, whoa, you guys ain't a judge. I don't listen to that crap either. I wasn't even as soon as I saw that first one, Twitter went off.
All it takes is for him to win another round in deciding fashion to kind of counteract that one win. So it wasn't one in that moment. A lot could change afterwards, even
That's
if he
correct.
didn't win it. So
you
hold your breath.
He takes
right?
a 10-8, gets to, so you never know.
Yeah, so I just want to say I'm just impressed. And math easily amuses me, Lou. I don't understand it a lot of times.
I don't know. I don't know much about math. I just know how to try and win and lose. And if you win more than you lose, you're doing good.
Yeah. So undefeated weekend for you last weekend, and we close that book and go ahead. And I found last week's fights interesting. I found them fascinating for future stuff being lined up or not lined up for that. And now this week we go to Sacramento, California. 5 p.m. is the main card coming up on Saturday night here in this fight night here. Let me ask you this: size of the cage in Sacramento, is it a normal big one? Going into that, I saw that there. Look, I loaded up the UFC page last night, and they have at the bottom, and you don't see it too often. Buy your Sacramento tickets. You don't see that too often in a fight card the week of. Usually, they're either sold out already or pretty close to it. So I'll be interested in seeing how the crowd works out in this coming up this weekend.
That's the home of the Diaz boys. That crowd will be there. They'll be imbibed, and half of them will be there through the exits coming in the wrong way.
Yeah. So you have the prelim fights here that get started as well. 2 p.m. coming up here. Tell us who in the prelims here, Lou, should we be paying attention to in these fights? We have Chris Padilla in this fight. We've seen him before and everything. Marcio Barbosa in these prelim fights as well. Jackson McVeigh, that name sounds familiar to me. He's not a local kid, is he?
He's a lab kid.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah.
When 6 of the 13 fights are lined minus 360 or above, we're not going to talk about a lot of these fights.
That's why I'm levying to you here on which one should we tune into.
We're going to hop, skip, and jump to Emmers and Gage Young, which is a 155-pound fight. Hold on, that's incorrect. We're going to hop, skip, and jump to Padilla and Hakparest, which is a 155-pound fight. This fight makes out to be really good. Now, Padilla's an L.A. kid. Where's the fights? Sacktown. And Hakparest trains in Toronto or in Montreal up in at TriStar. So he travels into the country, not huge travel, but passport stuff, and Padilla's going to have the crowd there. Padilla's got a 4-inch reach advantage. The fight's really open to pick, is close to a pick now. And we got about a 2.5 minus 165 over, 2.5 minus 200 to the over.
Yeah,
I'm seeing
minus 200 to the over, 2.5. Just on the actual money line there, minus 122 to Nasrat here in this fight. Padilla's a plus 102 dog right now on DraftKings is what we use here on Thursday morning, so people are aware of where we're seeing those numbers at.
Well, I use everyone, and if I see a better number than what DraftKings is, I'll tell you. And
Shop,
that's
yeah,
what you
shop
should
it around.
be doing.
Yeah.
You got to shop around,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So go ahead.
So I like Padilla in the fight. I don't buy the Hawk Perez money. I think it's going to be a really close fight that Padilla going to want to keep standing. And if he can do so, I think he's got a great shot here. 4-inch reach means everything in a standing fight. Long layoff for Hawk Perez. In fact, if you remember, he was head kicked by Salkild a year ago, and that's why he's been off. So there could be rust. If Padilla flushes him, you don't know how he's going to handle it. So a lot of moving parts there that make me lean to Padilla. And then Schultz and McVeigh, you mentioned. McVeigh's a Phoenix Lab guy. These guys are both Fabio wannabes. They have shoulder-length hair. Schultz is primarily a grappler, wants to get it down. McVeigh's well-rounded. McVeigh coming off a loss, and McVeigh opens minus 500 and immediately goes down to minus 185. And he's looking like he's minus 185 or so now.
Minus 175.
He's minus 1. Oh, even better. So what that means is that we're interested in the Lab kid a little bit. We'll see how it goes. I don't want to pay the price. I'll probably go inside the distance or any finish. That might be one way to think about it. And I think that's how I'd have you.
Oh, over under on this fight's 1.5 minus 188 to the under in this fight.
The over under is 1.5 minus 188 to the under. So what they're saying is they think that Schultz is going to submit McVeigh, or the McVeigh is going to knock out Schultz. So they're giving us a hint. And the hint is McVeigh inside the distance. Trust me.
Okay. Perfect reading on that side. And local kid as well. And like you said, they call him the Moose there. But man, yeah, both of these guys, they look like they're on the cover of romantic novels here between these two guys.
Wannabes,
for UFC fighters, that's unusual that they look like that.
I say that as a guy that's follically challenged.
Right. Any other of these prelim fights? There's a featherweight fight, Emmers Douglas, and the heavyweight battle.
Douglas, that'll be a good fight. Those guys will stand and bang. Emmers is 6 years older, so Douglas, they're all over Douglas.
Yeah, it's a big number, 390 right now for Douglas.
And then Wint and Chapman. The UFC loves this Wint, ex-Jet football player. He's just knocking guys out, so they put this coat rack in front of him. He's going to just bust this boy up and move on to bigger and better things.
Yeah, 1,000 favorite right now for Wint going into this battle.
That's
here.
10 to 1.
Yeah, over under 1.5 minus 315 to the under.
Yeah, and 10 to 1's a bargain on him.
Yeah. So that tells you I plan for one of those 39-second fights. If you if you're looking at sit down early is what I'm getting at from that side. Then on the main card, you got a big favorite in the women's flyweight bout. Judas, there's the 550-point favorite. 575 right now. Skip that one. Medeiros and Jones coming into this one. Right now, Jones is a 285 favorite. Over under 2.5 minus 200 for that lightweight bout. If there's anything to talk about on that one, Lou?
That's a great fight. 155 pounds. And Markel is a MMA Lab guy who is coming off a draw because they took a point from him. This was recently. He's upset about that, wants to make amends. And they give him this kid from Wales who is tough, durable, powerful, can wrestle, has won. His last 2 fights were against one guy, Sola, who's really good, and he beat Sola, and then Oki before it. So this is Mason Jones should be the favorite here. Markel is a legitimate underdog. But, he's getting up there now. I can see you want to take Markel Medeiros I get 230, 235. I see
Yeah.
a 240, a 257. I'm going to just sit back and wait. I'm interested in Medeiros a little bit straight, but I'm going to take him plus the 3.5 at plus 100. That's on DraftKings. It's a point spread play on this fight because I do believe this fight goes to decision and Markel can win a round against Jones. And the reason I believe Markel can win a round or even the fight is because of his feet, his flash, his quickness, because he's not going to be able to stand there toe-to-toe with this kid. He's going to have to outquick him, suck some gas out of him, take him late into the fight, win the third round by using his feet and creating angles, and that's what he's prepared to try and do. So I do there'll be a full unit on Medeiros on the point spread and then a little taste of him on the money line.
Oh, could that a lot of money has gone on Mason Jones here? Did you see that to continue?
Yes.
Is this one of those you
They'll be
should
using
sit back
him
and wait?
They'll be using him in parlays, and generally with all underdogs, you sit back and wait.
And wait, get the final number that comes in.
Right.
We got De Ritter in this one against Dolidze. Light heavyweight bout for these guys battling it out. Now De Ritter is a 400-point favorite here, 375 right now on DraftKings. But light heavyweight guys here, some powers coming into this fight and everything. Over, under 2.5. The over is minus 140 right now. So there's something telling you the power's not enough for a knockout. At least Vegas numbers are telling us that's not the case.
Well, they both are grapplers, and neither are accomplished strikers. Dolidze's probably got a little better striking. The only reason I say that is because De Ritter has none. And so, but De Ritter's a world-class Netherlands grappler. He's training at Killcliff now. He's got his cardio issues under control. They're teaching him how to at least, you stick his jab out there and create distance to be able to try and take the opponent down. Dolidze's 38, a baker from Georgia in Russia. He's fighting just to earn money for his family, and De Ritter will dispose of him pretty early here. This is a mow-down job for De Ritter.
Yeah, that's why that I was reading that also from other places. That's why when I saw the 2.5 over, kind of struck me a little bit.
No, Dolidze is tough and durable, but it may 2.5 over. I would maybe say I don't think it goes the distance. It gives me 2.5 extra minutes.
Exactly from that side. Then you got Victor Petrino, Sergey Spivak here. From Moldova here is where he's listed, at least on my side. So we go from a light heavyweight to a heavyweight fight, Lou.
Yeah, we do. And Petrino coming in off his first heavyweight fight, a win. And I think it was a knockout too. Pretty impressive. Oh no, he decisioned Asplund. And he looked good in that fight, way better than he looked when he was sucked out at 205. And so he's a little bit undersized. He's probably 248 pounds when he fights Spivak, but Spivak's 245, kind of a long, tall, Dracula-looking dude. He's ghoulish looking, but he has a great ground game. He's coming off a win off Dolidze. Both these guys travel in, Petrino from Brazil and Spivak from Moldova. And so this should be a good fight, and maybe one in which I lean to Spivak just a little bit as an underdog. We'll have to see. Spivak opens a plus 200. He's plus 155 when I did the podcast, and
124 right now on DraftKings.
Yeah, so he's seeing a little bit of money come his way, and I think I have to agree with that.
And over under on that's only 1.5, but minus 215 to that over. We're going to see that move to 2.5 by chance, at least on DraftKings side.
What
of
is
things.
It to the over?
Minus 215 to the over, right?
Yeah,
now.
I like the over.
In that fight there for that heavyweight bout. And then you got the main event here, middleweight fight. Anthony Fluffy Hernandez and Gregory RoboCop Rodriguez here for these two guys. I'm looking forward to this one, Lou. I'm looking forward to a lot with these guys.
Well, yeah, RoboCop's got stupid power. And he's a world-class Muay Thai grappler. So he's a scary, scary dude. Anthony Hernandez coming off a whooping by champion Eric Strickland and took some of the tarnish off him. But Hernandez don't get tired. He can fight all day, and he'll have to figure out how to do the Jared Cannonier. And by that I mean Cannonier was able to tax RoboCop in the first 2 rounds, and RoboCop is so muscular and built that after 10 minutes of fighting, he can swole up and get a little bit slow and deliberate. And that's what Fluffy's going to have to do against RoboCop. The total in the fight's been teetering between 2.5 and 3.5. You can find them both still.
Yeah.
And so for that reason, I tend to lean over. I tend to think Fluffy is going to stay out of his way, do what he has to do with this guy, take him to the ground. And I see this fight going later because I see Fluffy winning in the later rounds when Rodriguez gets tired out. If this fight was lined at 2.5 under, I'd be scared that Rodriguez was going to find him. But I think the speed and the focus, and Hernandez now went to train with Strickland. I think he's going to come in. We're going to get his best effort, and I think he's better than RoboCop.
RoboCop, I've seen his fights where he's been dominant, and I've seen his fights where he struggled a little bit, like in the later rounds. I think so. I like his strength, and I like his the way he can handle things out there. But with Fluffy, it's going to be like you said. I think it's interesting. I'm looking forward to this main event coming up here as well. Like I said, on DraftKings, it's over under 3.5 right now, minus 215 to the under.
Yeah,
on DraftKings
and when you see the two before the fight standing next to each other, you're going to think these guys a different weight class. I mean, RoboCop will weigh in at what is this 70?
It's middleweight bout.
Middle at 85. So RoboCop will weigh in at 85, and he'll take the cage at 205, 202.
Yeah.
And Fluffy will weigh in at 85, probably take the cage at 92 or 94. So RoboCop be bigger, thicker, more swole up, and Hernandez is going to have to be on his bike.
So there's the main card from Sacramento. 5 p.m. is the main card on Saturday night, 2 p.m. Early prelims there. And got some MMA Lab guys in these fights as well that hopefully fare better than the gentleman did last weekend.
There's a release on the webpage, which was also VSiN Lives magazine. There's also a release on the Sneak Teep podcast if those are interested. Got to listen to the Sneak Teep or go to the webpage.
Yep, I'm not going to say what they are. Go check them out, everybody.
We talk about them, but
I know.
if you're interested,
if you want to see it from that side. So I'm interested in, like you said, seeing kind of what the crowd is like this weekend. And I just never had buy your Sacramento tickets, and it's Thursday before the fight. I don't remember the last time I'd seen that.
I don't look for that stuff,
yeah,
so I don't know.
I know.
I did look at tickets for the Glendale
September,
thing, and a lot of good ones have sold, so good for them.
Yeah, I haven't checked into it in this last week or anything, but from what I was reading before, I got a little press release from it saying that it was selling well, and it's as they're announcing new fighters, obviously coming up. People are getting intrigued with. That's going to be a fantastic fight.
Well, we lost the main event of Yair Rodriguez. That was going to really be the Hispanic draw, but they put in Carlos Delgado, Jose Delgado, who's an MMA Lab fighter, and there's a big, huge step up for him having a Fajon Silva, but he's going to be up for it, and that'll be a fun one to watch.
Yeah.
I just know when I look at seats for a venue for UFC, I know the ones that I would consider buying for that event were gone, so just as well.
Yeah, one of the prelim fights, Tim Elliott and Edgar Chairez.
He's a Mexican fighter.
Yeah.
There's a Mexican or Hispanic fighter in almost all of those early fights. Noche is a salute to Mexican heritage, so we get a lot of Mexicans on the card.
Yeah, they focus on that side. But that fight card, even though like you said, we have a switch in the main, that might make that fight a little bit more interesting, to be honest with you, with Rodriguez being subbed out. I might be more interested in it with the substitution. But we'll talk more about that, of course, coming up. But over there in Glendale, Desert Diamond Arena, if you're interested in seeing a live MMA event, UFC event, without having to travel to Vegas. And it's an early start as well. 2 p.m. is the main card for that fight.
No,
so.
2 p.m. is the prelims of that.
No, in that fight. It says main card, 2 p.m. On the website, 2 p.m. is the main card on September 12th.
What time are
That's what
prelims?
it says there.
11.
Oh, you know what? They have an 11 a.m., yeah. That's what's listed right now, Lou. I double checked it. Lou's all doubting me. I'm just going off the UFC site.
Hey, I'll believe it. It's got to be football related or something,
what I would
but
think,
it really doesn't matter when they put it on because I'll be watching.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? And I like the day ones a little bit. I've kind of fallen in love with those day
Yeah, not
fights
bad.
instead of the nighttime stuff.
I get it.
Hey, folks, Uncle Lou, thanks for joining us, first of all.
Thanks for having
Check
me.
out his website. Check out About Business coming up tomorrow as well after the weigh-ins. Be back next Thursday as well. We're getting closer to the NFL regular season, folks. Don't forget, follow TME Sports Show. We'll put these segments up from Lou as well. And Lou, thank you. Everybody else, we'll see you tomorrow, 8 o'clock. See you then, everyone.